Well, it's a much more gusty, breezy afternoon here at Crystal Palace. I really do think it affected the times in that women's 400 metres, 50.79. There's the points for the diamond race standings in the discus. Malakowski leading with 14 to Cavargo's 13. Cantor down with 10. Double points, remember, in the final coming up, be it in Brussels or Zurich.
Well, we've got to bring you up to date with the result of that 400 metres, with terrific women's 400 metres, where the United States versus Europe, really, with Barova on the right and Alison Felix coming through to win it. And we'll just confirm the times for the race now. Just to confirm all that, there it is. 50.79, Barova 50.84, Debbie Dunn 50.89. It was really close. Look at that, the first four under 51 seconds. Personal best for Shakes Drayton at 51.48. Another move forward for the British bronze medalist in the 400 metre hurdles in the Europeans. That's the final result then, and there are the points. Felix 12 points. She's already won the 200 Diamond League race, and the 400 a little bit closer with Moncho and Barova there. Barova and Dunn on 6, with Moncho in second with 8 points.
Well, there's been plenty of action on the infield over the last hour or so, with some of the field events reaching their climax prior to these Diamond League track races getting underway. And just as in the men's pole vault yesterday, where the cool, damp conditions really did cause problems for the competitors, La Villani, the world #1, no heighting, for example, in that competition, along with Olympic champion Steve Hooker. So the heights in the women's pole vault over the last hour or so have been pretty modest. We'll bring you that very shortly. The next event on the track, as you can see there, left of picture, is the men's 110 metre hurdles. The barriers are out. 2 heats, by the way, with the final coming up in about an hour and a half's time. And as for the female sprinters, the ladies, they had their heats about half an hour ago. They have their final coming up towards the end of this 2 hours of coverage. We are just keeping our fingers crossed that the winds don't get any stronger and that the rain stays away.
Well, the men's shot, also one of those early field events. The world #1, Christian Cantwell of the United States, lost for the first time this season. His 4th round throw of 20 metres and 78 moved him into 3rd place, but well down on his season's best of 22 metres and 41. He's a big fella, he's been very consistent, he's won all the Diamond League events this season, with the exception of this one, and 20.78. Thomas Majewski, the Olympic champion from last year, from 2008, a big improver over the years, took 2nd place. It was his 3rd round throw of 21 metres and 20. He's took that, there it is. Couldn't better that in the 4th round. Big fella, he really is. But it was a rare season's win for Reese Hoffer of the United States. His best throw, his 4th round throw of 21 metres and 44. The former world champion outdoors and former world champion indoors was at last finding some form. The rotators versus the linear technique on this occasion. But once the rotation goes right, then of course it has greater potential than the linear technique. It certainly does, but there are more risks involved. But Hoffer won that one quite well in the end with 21.44. He'll have enjoyed that because he's been beaten by Cantwell and the others during this season. And that was good enough, 21 metres and 44. And Cantwell beaten for the first time this season.
Well, confirmation of that win for Isov at 21 metres 44. Majewski, the Olympic champion, in 2nd, and Cantwell on this occasion having to settle for 3rd place. I bet he's uncomfortable with that. He does, though, have a very comfortable lead and will win the diamond race standings in the shot over Hoffer. Well, over the far end of the sprint straight is the athletes for the first heat of 2 in the men's 110 metre hurdles. Brutals of Belgium goes in lane 1. GY of China in 2, a finalist at the World Championships last year. There's Will Sharman, 4th in those World Championships last year, but disqualified from his semi-final in Barcelona 2 weeks ago at the Europeans. Full started, and the unforgiving new rule saw him out. Dwight Thomas in very good form, the Jamaican. He goes in lane 4. Winner at Gateshead's 4 or 5 weeks back, and then a third at Monaco and a win in Lausanne recently. David Oliver, the world #1, unbeaten this year, and now the 28-year-old is the 3rd fastest in history. His philosophy after the disappointments of last year: concentrate on the next race. 12.89 is best. There's Svoboda, the Czech. He led the European Championships final until he hit the 7th hurdle and finished up in 6th place, the big Czech. He's a huge man at 6'5". In lane 7, Joel Brown of the USA, only 7th in their US Championships, but he's coached by Brooks Johnson, the same man as Dave Oliver, so probably more to come from Brown in 7. And Chris Bailey, the Commonwealth Games silver medalist from 2006 and the English champion just recently, goes in lane 8, although of course he's a Scot. Confirmation of that lineup. You can see Will Sharman, the World Championship 4th placer and British #2 after the win of the other Briton, Andy Turner, at the European Championships. He goes in 3. Thomas in 4, the Jamaican who's in such good form. And David Oliver, the American, the world #1, goes in lane 5. The first 3 go through to the final, which is in roughly an hour and a half's time, with 2 fastest losers from these 2 heats. Oliver, the fastest man in the world this year, with 12.89. Well, away they go. Oliver, not a great start from him. It's that first barrier hard, second barrier hard too, but now he's ahead of the rest of them. Pulling away too, and going well up beside him in the yellow is Dwight Thomas at the far side. But look at Oliver here, going well too on this side is Chris Bailey, or was it Joel Brown, in fact, of the USA, I think, who took 2nd spot, excuse me. David Oliver, though, winning it, no trouble there, 13.04. And that into a plus, with a +3 win behind him. The wind can actually get too strong in the hurdles. It can start blowing you towards the barriers, and you're arriving at the barriers too early. Makes it quite awkward to fit the steps in between. But that from Oliver, 13.02 it's been rounded down to. Very, very impressive indeed. Didn't get a great start. I think he was just playing a safe start there, Stuart, 4th from left.
Yes, he was, but his reaction to the hurdles has become very, very effective indeed. His trail leg is terrific. It comes across so quickly. He's down the centre of the hurdles, hits a couple, but that doesn't matter if you hit it with the trail leg. It's the lead leg you've got to watch. Let's have a look at 2nd place. I think it was Joel Brown who got the 2nd place just, I think, from Dwight Thomas of Jamaica. And so just have a little look at this fella. He is undoubtedly the world's #1 this year. He's a big, solid citizen, hits the first hurdle, but the wind behind does pull you into the hurdles, and you have to react to them, and he has to react to them very quickly at the best of times without a 3-metre wind behind him, so it can work against you. A little bit high over that one, not as perfect as I've seen him, but this is a heat. For a hurdle of his stature, he will want to take it as easy as possible, but I have to say to you that very close to 13 flat, and it wasn't technically that good at the end of the day. Just clipping a few hurdles, nothing that stops his momentum going forward, that's for sure. And we shall see much better in the final later on, I would think. But if he got 13 there, he's bound to go sub 13 in the final.
Andreas Torkildsen then, 84.14 in the first round, and no throw in the second round. This is a replay of his first round effort. Not a bad opener, and indeed the best of the first round. That's an 84.14 for the European champion, twice European champion now, twice Olympic champion, of course, the Norwegian. Bit of a pin-up boy, for obvious reasons, back in Norway, of 1.90 m. Said earlier on the season he still felt he was lacking a bit of something, but with 1 or 2 niggles to his groin, he's been able to push through the centre of the season and come out the other side smiling. Although he did lose in Stockholm 8 days ago, but that's a solid opener here in London, 84.14. They do have just 4 throws each, don't let's forget. David Oliver winning then in 13.02 from Joel Brown and Dwight Thomas. Those 3 go through to the final of the 110-metre hurdles. The second heat coming up. Well, I mentioned earlier how the pole vault was compromised yesterday by the damp conditions, and it was cool, and it is again this afternoon. It feels much colder than the 17 degrees we've been given. Gillian Schwartz, though, of the USA. Well, Schwartz, very much one of the top Americans. competing for Israel these days, the former American, I should say. Schwartz finishing up in second place with 4:46. It was a tough competition, this one. Fabian Amura taking the first place with a first time clearance at 4:46. But on count back, taking first place over Schwartz. Kate Dennison, good competition for the young Briton in difficult conditions here at Crystal Palace. First time clearance at 4:31 and then a second time clearance at 4:46, giving her third place. But behind her, or rather equal third place with her, Svetlana Feofanova, the European champion from Barcelona. Golubchikova is in fifth place, another Russian. So she's taken a couple of useful scalps here today as Kate Dennison. Confirmation of that competition result. All the first five on exactly the same height. It really was flattened a little bit, if you'll forgive the pun, by the conditions. Very, very breezy over there. But another win for Mura. Well, 4:46, very modest height though when you think that Jen Suhr's world-leading performance this year is 4:89 meters. Second heat coming up to the men's 110-metre hurdles. That wind, if anything, is picking up here in South London. The trees around the arena blowing very, very healthily.
Well, this hurdles event, of course, with the breeze fluctuating so much, we've got the first three and the two fastest losers go through to the final, so you've really got a guarantee by getting into the top three. It features the European champion Andy Turner. This second heat ran so well, very close to his personal best in the European Championships, 13:28. He's got a little bit to find, but he's in a very good lane, and it's a very good race for him because Ryan Wilson, the American, is next to him in the fifth lane. He's a 13:12 man and in very good form at the moment. We've got several Americans in the race. There's such a history of American success. Schwarzer of Germany, semi-finalist in the European Indoor Championships last year. It's 13:58 his best. He's drawn right on the inside. Garfield Darien of France, the European silver medalist, 13:34 his best this season. Another fine from the World Junior Championships. Jason Richardson of the United States, double World Youth Hurdles champion back in 2003. He's got a best now of 13:34. Ronnie Ash of the United States, North American and Caribbean under-23 champion this year, 13:19 his best. Ryan Wilson of the United States. Now here's the man, I've always enjoyed watching him. He's a robust hurdler, he's a very dynamic hurdler, and he's in very good form with 13:12 this season, very consistent. The European champion, Andy Turner, next to him. He said he found the extra gear, and he just smelt that gold medal. This is a different proposition. The rain is beginning to fall now as I say that, which adds to the problem. Akins, Ty Akins, former American collegiate champion, 13:38 his best. Saw him in Gateshead, he was fifth in the race in Gateshead. Alameen of Great Britain, 21 years old now, fourth in the English Championships, 13:83. So with the first three to go through, then I would look to Wilson to be there. You can see the evidence of the rain on the screen. There's the confirmation. Schwarzer, Darien, Richardson, Ash, Wilson, Turner, Akins and Alameen. The second heat of the men's high hurdles. Someone's false started and someone is in trouble. There'll be a little bit of delay whilst they replace those hurdles. Now then, I just wonder whose fault that was. Let's have a look, see if we can see from here. Not entirely obvious from that. It's not always the case that it's obvious, but and it may well be a technical problem again. There may well be a green card. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. You don't get the yellow cards these days. Well, you can get them. You can get them in the room in which you meet before coming onto the track, I'm told.
I'm not sure there wasn't a...
They add up to a red card, they can, if there's dissent.
Sorry, John, I'm not sure. There wasn't a slight twitch over and about lane 4, Ronnie Ash, perhaps, but that was the Briton Alex Alamein the camera was concentrating on just there. Nearest the camera in lane 8, I think. Oh, it is. What a shame.
Now, that's a big disappointment for a young fella. Got a real opportunity to compete against the very best. Let me remind you of the lineup for this second heat of the men's hurdles. Schwarzer, Germany; Darian, France; Richardson, USA; Ash, USA; Wilson, USA; Andy Turner, the European champion, lane 6; Great Britain; Ty Akins, USA. It's the full lineup now. First 3 go through by right, plus 2 fastest to the final, just after 4 o'clock this afternoon. No problems with the start this time. Certainly Wilson not going as well as I expected. Andy Turner going very strongly indeed on the near side. He's going well, and so is Ronnie Ash. Ronnie Ash coming through, and Turner's going to take this one. He gets it, and right on the far side, Darian in front. It was a very close, but I think Turner got that. 13:34. That was a terrific run if he did. He's beaten some real scouts. I'm very surprised by Ryan Wilson's performance there. He's been in such great form. But certainly Andy Turner looks strong. Ash of the United States is plus 2.3 meters per second, incidentally. Ash looked to be going well. And Turner just run him down at the end. It was a very, very good performance. So he goes through to the final. So the confidence gained from the Europeans has carried him through.
Yes, that wasn't the smoothest race from Andy Turner, but he worked hard for it. Over 2 lanes to his left was Ronnie Ash, who was constantly biting away at Turner's lead. He started well, did Andy, the European champion. You're right, Stuart. There's a real confidence to him there. I'm not too sure how many races this calibre he's won here in the UK. It was only a heat, don't let's forget. But Turner there, looking very, very competent indeed. 13:32. Had it been slightly less of a wind, would have been very close to his season's best as well. Will Sharman, incidentally, 4th in that first heat, would have set the season's best, but for the very strong following wind.
Well, it was Darian, the Frenchman, on the far side that got second place there, and Ryan Wilson salvaged it, just sneaking through into 3rd, so he gets there qualified by right, but that was a real struggle for him, and Akins and Ash fell back a bit. There it is, Turner 13:32, Darian 13:38. That's how it was in the Europeans, incidentally, 1st and 2nd, and Wilson in 3rd at 13:38. Well, the triple jump, Olga Saladuka of the Ukraine, the European champion, 9th in the Olympic Games. Got a 3rd place here with a 3rd round jump of 14 meters and 20. Well below her season's best of 14.81, but the fluctuating wind really playing a part in some of the performances here. 14.40, in fact, in 3rd place. Good performance, Saladuka, but couldn't quite get the result that she wanted. Olga Lipakova of Kazakhstan, the world indoor champion this year, 4th in the Olympic Games, despite jumping 15 meters and 11. I mean, that's some performance. 4th round jump of 14 meters and 74. And that was the evidence. Good performance by Ripakova. Just having another look at that. Very rangy, very tall, as most of these athletes are. Good leg shoot at the end. But Ripakova, a 15-meter jumper at her very best. 14.74, 2nd place. But it was the twice world triple jump champion, Yagelis Savinia, who took it second to Rybakova in the World Indoor Championships earlier on this season, as the Cuban reversed it all here. Second round jump of 14 meters and 86 was good enough to take that. Very quick on the runway, not as tall as the others, adjusts on that approach incidentally when she hits the board, and you can see how close to 15 meters she was. A very, very fine approach. She hits the board perfectly well. Very nicely done. Good leg shoot at the end and rotates forward. And that good enough. 14.86, a second round jump. Good enough to win overall. Let's just have a look at that result. Savinia 14.86, Rybakova 14.74, Saladuka 14.40. I think I said 14.20, it's 14.40, and Rodic 14.25 in fourth place. Well, there it is. Savinia well in the lead at 18 points. Rybakova, well, saying well in the lead, they both are, aren't they? Rybakova, they're very, very fine competitors. Remember, first and second in the World Indoor Championships, battling it out for diamonds in this Diamond League competition.
Well, Tero Pitkämäki, no throw in the first round, but he's fresh from that victory over Andreas Torkildsen, the Norwegian, is the Finn, in Stockholm 8 days ago. This from Pitkämäki matters. Only 4 rounds each throw, that much more precious, and that's big. That's a superb second effort from the Finn. The world champion back in 2007, the Olympic bronze medalist who, well, 9 times out of 10 these days loses out to the big Norwegian. But that's a heck of a throw. Pitkämäki there, around 85 meters, certainly beyond 84. 84.71 has come up, and that's a wonderful second round effort. His first legal throw here at Crystal Palace. They of course are throwing with a following wind, quite a strong following wind. Disordo of Germany, well, he was the man who at the European Team Championship created a bit of an upset, defeating Andreas Torkildsen in Bergen in front of his home crowd. The Norwegian having settled for his first defeat of the season. Lost in Stockholm last week was his second defeat, but Disordo was perhaps the surprise package of those European Championships, taking the silver medal behind Torkildsen. Pitkämäki having settled for third on that occasion. That's a massive throw from Disordo in round 2. He opened with a very modest 77-meter effort. That from Disordo is way out there, around 86, 87 meters. Left-hand thrower, quite unusual, very, very powerfully built man. He's got huge shoulders, tremendously quick arm too, Disordo. But former European junior champion, really coming into his own now, flourishing as a senior at 22, 86.97. That takes the lead from the German with 2 rounds to go. Well, it's Dominique Darden who goes in lane 1 in this women's 400-meter hurdles. The American was only 8th in Monaco a month or so back. Eilish Child there goes in lane 2. She was a finalist in Barcelona at the European Championships, was Eilish Child. 8th place she finished there. Coming on very strongly, the 23-year-old. Sheena Tostra of the USA, the Olympic silver medalist. She's a good athlete, this Bobby Kersey coached performer. 3rd in Monaco, 2nd in Lucerne recently. Kalisha Spencer goes in lane 4. 4th place in the World Championships last year. She's won her last 3 races though, and she's the world number 3 this year. So watch Spencer, that's a good lane draw. And her first race since the European Championships this for the Russian Natalia Anchuk. She is of course the European champion, winning in 52.92, taking a personal best down by over a second. Zuzana Hejneva of the Czech Republic, 4th in those European Championships, the world number 5 this year. Lane 6 for her, pretty good draw as well. Nikita Wilson goes lane 7 for Jamaica, semi-finalist in the Olympic Games, but the Jamaican champion this year, and in good form, knocking on the door of 55 seconds this year, although she has broken 54 in the past. And the lineup completed with the USA's Nicole Leach, 2nd in the US Championship. She goes out in lane 8, hasn't raced for about 6 weeks, the American. No Perry Shakes Drayton, of course, the European Championship bronze medal for Great Britain, medalist for Great Britain, who ran in the 400 metres earlier. She did set a personal best there. Confirmation of that start list though. And Anchuk, the European champion, goes in lane 5. Kalisha Spencer, possibly the biggest threat to her, just 1 lane inside her in lane 4. Well, away they go. Nobody really showing just yet. Although it is Collegiate Spencer in lane 4, who seems to have made up quite a bit of ground on Anchuk outside her. Yes, and in lane 3, Sheena Toster too has started quickly. 3 and 4 there, Toster and Spencer. And Spencer right up alongside Anchuk, the big Russian in lane 5, easily the tallest in the field. It's got a lot of work to do here. My word, she's way back on the Jamaican. Leach going well too on the outside in lane 8, left of picture, but there's the stagger and wind. Surely 1 or 2 will come through. But it's Collegiate Spencer at the moment in lane 4 with a big lead. Oh my word, Anchuk there in lane 5, top of picture all over the place at that barrier coming into the straight. Outside her, Hezhnev of the Czech Republic having a good run, and in lane 2, Ailey Child having a very strong run here. If she can finish well off the final barrier here, look at Spencer. It's going to be a quick time. She wins by 8 metres. Real battle for second and third. I think Hezhnev taking second from Ailey Child in third. 53.78. Well, that's a strong performance in these conditions, and frankly that was underlined, wasn't it, by the winning margin. It was 8 or 9 metres. What happened to Talia Anchuk there today, I do not know. Maybe a little bit of too much Russian celebration since those European Championships. It was her first race in 2 weeks since Barcelona, but she was way off the pace there today.
Well, just looking at the final stages of this, Spencer well out in the lead, technically very good indeed. Ailish Child of Great Britain running well from lane 2, right on the outside as well, Nicola Leach of the United States. But this Hezhnova of the Czech Republic, very strong as well. And Hezhnova, I think, just sneaks second place. She does, yes, indeed, just from Child. And personal best for Ellie Child of 55.16, 53.78 the winning time, very high over that hurdle. But certainly Spencer, the class act there, and the European champion, didn't get into the race at all. Was very uncomfortable on that occasion. European champion, personal best down to 54, from 54 to 52.92, Anchuk. And that was Sally Gunnell's Barcelona Stadium record that was broken on that occasion. But Spencer was a class act there. Well, the javelin has been going very strongly indeed. Andreas Storkelsen, the double Olympic champion, defended his title well. Really strong in this event over the season thus far. It's been a very competitive season with 2 or 3 Pitkamaki and Desordo, have you already seen. Third round, and looking to get back into the lead. He hit that one very hard indeed. That looks a little better, in fact, and that is a lot better. That's going to be over 85, 86, probably beyond that. And Torkelson may well find himself in the lead after that. I think it's gone beyond the leading throw thus far. Really walloped that, didn't he? His fast arm, but everything else. The timing was right, and you could tell by his body language he was happy with that. And the elevation of the javelin, absolutely superb. Yep, pleased with that. Look at that. You can tell. I've done it. He knows. He doesn't have to have a tape measure. But the tape measure will, I think, confirm the fact that he's gone into the lead. Big champion. Oh, he has, isn't he? 87 metres and 38. Well, that's going to take some beating.
Well, the high jump's taking place on the D in front of us here near the finish line, and Jessie Williams having a good day so far. The American, 3 jumps, 3 clearances, 2:27 coming up for Williams, the American champion. Oh, lovely effort. Brilliant jump. He's relatively small, Williams. 1.83 m makes him 6 foot. And when you think that many of his rivals are 6'4", 6'5", even 6'6", he's got to have enormous power to get up there. Scrapes it with his shoulder, but it stays on. And that from Jessie Williams. Maintains his cleat card and his lead at the moment. More of that high jump later on.
Carlo in the javelin, this 4th round. 78-71 is best so far. Needs to be a little better than that, and I think that may well be. It's over the 80-metre mark, 82 or thereabouts. And Wakola making a little bit of an impact here. The Finns, of course, that's their wonderful event, the event they follow so well in Scandinavia. It's a very important event for them, the successes they've had over the years. And that, 82 meters and 24 on our computer now, and that's it. He's gone into 4th place.
Well, here's Desordo again, down to 2nd place after that second round, 86.97, which was so promising. But Desordo, with Thorkildsen having hit 87.38, looking for another metre or so here. Very, very fast arm, a little ragged, that technique, frankly. No, that's down around 79 metres. That doesn't do the job for the German. He will settle for 2nd place. But he hit the one big throw, 86.97 in round 2, making it a solid day's work. And Desordo, well, giving best to Thorkildsen here today, as was the case, of course, in Barcelona a fortnight back. And here is the defending, or the reigning European champion. This will be a little bit more satisfying than usual, this win today. After losing in Stockholm last week, that must have been a frustrating one. Of course, he holds Olympic, world and European titles, does Thorkildsen. This a celebratory throw from the Olympic champion. As he hit that one hard, the incentive perhaps not there, and the distance reflects it, frankly, just over 80 metres. It doesn't matter, job done. 2 very, very solid throws. He steps over the line there to save them, measuring that one, but 84 metres is opener, and then the big one in round 3, 87.38, to win by, well, only about a foot or so from Desordo of Germany. The win confirmed for the Norwegian. Normal service resumed. Confirmation of that win for the Norwegian. Andreas Thorkildsen, 87.38 over Desordo of Germany's 86.97. Pitkämäki in 3rd again, the same order as the European Championships, 84.71 for the Finn. And just confirmation of the standings in the Diamond League situation. Thorkildsen way out in front there, as you'd expect, with 22 points. He's uncatchable. He'll win the Diamond event for the javelin. Pitkämäki 2nd, Friedrich a distant 3rd.
Well, the next event on the track is the women's 800 metres, and it's a very, very strong field indeed. The Diamond League event has given such an impetus to the sport of athletics across the board. Jackson, Jebkowski, world champion in 2007. Vesey, the United States. Johnson, Meadows and Dobrisky, well, that's part of the lineup. Savinova, Gemma Simpson, Okoro, Hack, Pierce and Useni. And I tell you what, this is a very, very good lineup. Perhaps too many in the field, but we'll see. The European Junior silver medalist from 2007 is Emma Jackson. Drawn in that inside lane. Well, Janet Jebkowski, as I said, the world champion in 2007, world's fastest time since 2003. Vesey. And here's Alicia Johnson, held on for bronze medal in the World Indoor Championships, so went to the front and held on. She's done very, very well this season thus far, 157.34. Well, Jenny Meadows has done so well over the seasons, world indoor silver medalist. Lisa Dobrisky. Savinova, 3 successive goals, European silver in 2009, that's indoors, world indoor silver this year, European silver 2010. Well, Gemma Simpson, 158.74, her best this season. She's drawn out there in the 6th lane. I don't think Marilyn Okoro is there, actually. Can't see her, Cora. I think she's withdrawn from the race. Hack is there, the European silver medalist. Anna Pierce, the Olympic steeplechase finalist from 2008, also there, and Yuseni on the outside. There's Pierce and Yuseni. The women's 800 metres. 2 laps of the track for newcomers to the sport. We'll see who takes this one on, really. Jepkoskai's gone off very quickly on the inside. So has Johnson, the American, who's had such a good time thus far. Pierce in the United States, the tall figure right on the outside, going very strongly indeed. But Johnson, Alicia Johnson, the United States, has been running with a real confidence, Tim, over this season thus far. And she goes into the lead and attempts to establish the tenor of the race, along with Sadinova in second place.
That's exactly right, Stuart. She's powerfully built as Johnson. 1:57 personal best this year, and the win at the US Championships has given her enormous confidence. And you have to be sure of yourself to take the lead in blustery conditions with a field of this calibre. 10 athletes queuing up behind her, some of them very, very strong indeed, including the Britons. I'm delighted to see Lisa Zabriskie in this one. She gets so rarely an opportunity to race over 2 laps. What can she do? Remember, she's got the 1500 in her legs from yesterday.
Yes, indeed, 57.42, so it's a very respectable first 400 metres, I should say. Johnson is leading. Savinova, used to winning medals, of course, the recent world champion. You can see Jepkoskai in the running wide, the blue strip on the left of the shot. Yuseni is there as well. Right on the inside, Anna Pierce of the United States, the steeplechase finalist, is there. And Jenny Meadows has got a little bit of work to do here to catch up in this field. The rest, well, it's bunching with 200 to go. Jepkoskai comes out to the front. Savinova is there. Johnson is there. Here comes Gemma Simpson on the outside. Pierce is tucked in on the inside, trapped away. This is going to be a real finish there. Savinova and Johnson. Savinova coming through. Jepkoskai coming through. Johnson on the inside. Here comes Savinova. Savinova's coming away from this field. She really is running very, very strongly indeed, with Yuseni in second place at the moment, but Jepkoskai coming through into second. Savinova wins it, Jepkoskai second, and a real battle between Yuseni and Gemma Simpson for third place. I think Gemma got third. Good race indeed, and the time 1:58.65, and that really was a good true run race, one of the best 800s I've seen of late. Very, very good field, a very competitive field, a very solid first 400 metres, and the European champion prevailing in the end, so European champions doing quite nicely.
Lovely smile there from Savinova, the Russian, yes. And it was a great race, wasn't it? Good pacemaking. I say pacemaking, of course, it was Alicia Johnson who led them round the first lap, 400 metres and 57.4, 600 metres in just outside 1:28. Just about perfect for this big pack. And look, there's 8 or 9 women there battling away, well under 2-minute tempo with 200 to run. Jepkoskai coming around the outside's got to run the longest line. All of them are, in fact, at quite a quick tempo, having to run a long way around the outside. Look at Jenny Meadows out there in lane 3 now, just about coming down the outside, but she didn't quite have it here, Jenny, after the mid-season injuries she suffered. She's still not back to 100% form. Savinova there, quite an awkward-looking runner, actually, but staying 3 or 4 metres clear. Jepkoskai second, and it was indeed Emma who was third there, Gemma Simpson. Looking forward to seeing the time, Stuart, I have to say, because I think Lisa Zabriskie might well have broken 2 minutes for the first time. In fact, it's just coming up. She's a click outside 2 minutes to Zabriskie, but a huge new personal best.
Well, that was a very good last 150 metres by the European champion, wasn't it? Really ran very well. Jepkoskai left a little bit too much to do, but a good run all round, really. And it promised to be a very competitive race, and it proved to be so.
Well, here's Jensen, Morten Jensen of Denmark in the long jump. First round this for Jensen. That's way below 8 metres, as you can see. Those superimposed lines on the sand aren't always 100% accurate, but they're not too far out. And clearly Jensen there with a bit of work to do. He's an 8:21 jumper this year, the national record holder, not only in the long jump, but at 100 as well. He's run 10.2 as Jensen. Produced in the European Championships, a no mark in qualifying. Had a bit of a disaster in Barcelona. For one of the top Europeans, that was a huge disappointment. 7.71, well, a modest opener for the Dane. This Mikael Tornius of Sweden. He's an 8.12 jumper this year, Tornius. 9th in those European Championships. Here he is in his opening effort, and that's again leaves quite a bit to be desired. It's way below 8 meters from Tornius. Don't think he's too pleased with it. They are jumping with a slight following wind here. They're protected a bit more from the strong gusts that are out on the track by the stands, but around 1.5 meters per second, most of these wind speeds.
Yeah, uses a hang technique. 7.70, not good enough. But a hang technique, most of the men now, the big jumpers, will use the hitch kick technique. It's all to, and this is one of them. Phillips is a man who's proved himself, the 2004 Olympic and 3 times world champion. He's an 8.46 man this season, his best 8.74 last season. And he'll use a hitch kick. It's running in the air. It's all about getting rid of all the unwanted rotations. And he really lifts off the board. There you go, and that's, if he gets a white flag, a very big jump indeed. He knows there's more in the tank, though. He can do way beyond 8 meters, this fella. Let's have a look. A little bit of a stutter at the end. I think he got his approach a little bit wrong. You can see he smiled as it happens. I was just looking at this. Yeah, he doesn't quite get it right, does he? Technically, he's a very good athlete. Absolutely super duper. I don't think the result will reflect a big performance yet. No, 7.85. Much more expected from him, but you can see the potential there. Let me bring you up to date now with the result of the women's 800 meters, and what a good race it was. Savinova 1:58.64, Jepkoskai 1:59.16, and Gemma Simpson 1:59.26. A very good competitive race for her. There are the rest. Good race. Lisa Dobrisky just outside, personal best though, just outside 2 minutes. Alicia Johnson not having a good day today after what she's done this season, which has been absolutely super duper. Jepkoskai 9 points, Alicia Johnson 8, Savinova 8, so it's still anyone's really, the 800 with 2 competitions to go. Gemma Simpson on 3, Langat on 2. Of course, Langat, a 1500 meter specialist, Olympic champion.
Confirmation of that win for Alison Felix in the 400 meters, 50.79 over Firova, 50.84. Debbie Dunn at 50.89. Monchot also going under 51 seconds. Well, the next event on the track is the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase. You can see in the foreground there the barrier about 20 yards past the start-finish line. The rain, unfortunately, continuing to come down here at Crystal Palace.
Well, it's Tornius again. I've said one look at him before. Tornius, I'm just looking at his best, the Swede. He's won the Swedish Championship 6 times. He's an 8.12 jumper at his very best, and that very best came this season. Nice little hang, and that's around about the 8 meter mark. Not getting the big jumps yet. He said, you know, a little bit of forward rotation. Didn't quite get what he wanted there. Yeah, you can see. Hits the board okay. Good technique, though. Most of the women will use the hang technique. 7.71, well, it was only just, wasn't it, above his best.
Well, I said the steeplechase is next. Here is the start list. Quite a big field, by the way. Some 15 athletes in this event. The best of the field, of course, the Africans, Lydia Jebet-Rotich and Gladys Kipkemoi. And in particular, Milka Chemos, the fastest in the world this year from Kenya. Running a 9.11 in Rome back in early June. Chemos Well, Madrea Hyman is a regular pacemaker on the steeplechase scene. The Jamaican, paced in Shanghai and in Oslo earlier in the summer. 37 years old now. Helen Clitheroe, the national record holder for Great Britain, hasn't raced since Gateshead. Clitheroe. Kowalska, 10th in the European Championships, the pole. Chemos Chewa, there she is. Very, very impressive runner. The world #1, winner of the African Championships a fortnight ago. But beaten in Stockholm last week by the European champion, the newly crowned European champion, Julia Zarodnieva, who's also in this lineup. She could be the one who mixes it up with the Africans yet again. Rotich, watch out for her. Lydia Rotich, second in the Kenyan Championships. There is Zarodnieva, just 24 years old, but one of a number of European champions who won in Stockholm 8 days ago, and a very, very impressive night of athletics. Hattie Dean, 4th in the European Championships, had a wonderful time in Barcelona, did the young Briton. Franek of the USA, only 5th in their championships. Joroge, 4th in the African Championships in the altitude of Nairobi a fortnight ago. That made it very tough. Asefa, a late addition to this field, along with Aguilera of the USA. And Tina Brown nearest the camera there. Only just under 10 minutes this year. She may well struggle in this sort of company. Well, away they go then, on the middle of the back straight. I'm just looking around. It does appear as though the wind has eased off a little bit here at Crystal Palace, but it is cool, it really is. It's, well, it feels like about 12 degrees. It's cold, even with a coat on here. Hyman goes out in front. Zarodnieva, the European champion, who had that impressive win in Stockholm over all the best Africans, in second place, leading the pack. Nobody seems particularly keen, do they? A little reluctant to go with this pace. In fact, as they come down in front of us after half a lap, Hyman's got about a 10 or 12 metre lead. The foreshortening effect of the camera there is quite deceptive, but she's got a big lead. And Hattie Dean, well, I don't know what's wrong with the Briton. She must have stumbled, I think, because she's 10 or 12 metres off the back of the pack already, and I didn't see it, I must admit. But she's going to have to work her way up to this pack quite gradually. Hattie Dean in the green, right in the background there. Fortunately, they're not going fast. They're taking it fairly steady in these early stages. We're looking for kilometres around 3:05, 3:07, which would bring them home in about 9:15, 9:20. But at the moment, nobody really looks hungry for a particularly quick time. Very high in the air there, Madrea Hyman, over that barrier. She's better known in her prime as an 800-metre runner, incidentally. She's a sub-2 minute 800-metre performer was Madrea Hyman, although that was all of 12 years ago now. Very, very cautious at the jump there, Hyman. In fact, most of the field probably gaining a couple of metres on her. But it's slow in the early stages.
Gives us a chance just to look across at the long jump for the moment. Shalin of Russia, second round, 7:56 in the first. Big improver from 7:92 to 8 meters and 25 in Moscow in June this year. So it's all happened. He was a triple jumper. He said that prefers the long jump. It's less technical. Oh, that he had to make all sorts of adjustments at the end there. There is an adjustment to be made, of course, but I don't think that. Let's just have a look at that. If we get a look at it in slow motion, we'll see. His best this season is 8:25. Looked to be very, very close. That was actually, he hit the board very well, didn't he? In the end, looked a little better from the front than it did from the side. So let's see what he's got. Oh, that's the coaching, 7:89, a little bit better. But still no one really getting out there and imposing themselves. Well, Chris Tomlinson, 8 meters and 23 this season, bronze medalist in the European Championships. Really, well, his technique you could describe as being elementary. It's just a matter of taking off, but if you can avoid the rotations, then that's fine. But he's so inconsistent. He's been very erratic throughout the season. Really goes for it. He's quick, he's very big, and it can either go 7:50 or 8:20. Falls away a bit, as you can see. A little bit of a balance problem. 7:80. So he's in third place at the moment. Well, Dwight Phillips then second round. Now what can he do? He really does motor, doesn't he? But he's still not finding the distance that we know he's capable of. The Olympic champion in 2004, just around 8 meters. But he is a big jumper. He's very difficult to beat. He won in Monaco. He was the American champion. He won in Rome, second in Shanghai. At 7.93, he's still got the lead, but no one yet beyond the 8 meter mark.
Well, just as yesterday, the cool conditions affecting performances on the track and in the field by the looks of things. There's Hattie Dean. She's now about 30 meters down, is Hattie Dean, on this main pack, being led by Zarodnieva, who's just beginning to wind it up now in this steeplechase. They've gone through 1 kilometer in 3:07, so it was not as slow as I thought. Certainly, I think Hyman has done a reasonable job, but Zarodnieva has the Africans queuing up behind her there. Kowalska of Poland, who was back in second place for a short while, back in about 6th now. There's Helen Clitheroe. She has this frustrating inability to sight the barriers and stutters dreadfully, approaching every barrier, and she just can't seem to rid herself of it. And she's a world-class athlete on the flat. If only she could improve on that, she'd be so much better at this demanding event. But it is Zarodnieva at the moment who is, I was going to say reluctantly, found herself in the lead, but she was happy to lead the pack some distance down on Hyman. And at the moment, as they come into the straight, there's what, 4 or 5 of the Africans there gathered behind her. It's Rotich on the inside, Chemos Chewa in the purple in second place at the moment. Also there is Sophia Asefa of Ethiopia, who's a just 9:22 athlete, pretty useful actually. She was 4th in Stockholm last week. She's in 4th at the moment, just running wide off the curb. And the brighter yellow strip is Adamu, second in the World Junior Championships in Canada a couple of weeks back. They were in Moncton in northeast Canada, which interestingly is only 4 hours behind the UK. We all think that the east coast of the North America is 5 hours behind the UK, but Moncton so far east is 4 hours behind. But Adamu, well, with the Ethiopians just beginning to get to grips with the middle distances this last 3 or 4 years, and the steeplechase in particular, might be the future for them in the women's steeplechase. 2006-20, 3:12 there. The pace is not too bad, you know, considering how awful these conditions are at Crystal Palace today. And I say awful more in the sense of somebody sitting here in the cold, getting colder than the athletes out on the track there. There is a breeze across the arena, quite a strong breeze at times. And of course the drizzle has been continuing, has come down over this last half hour or so, but actually for steeplechasing, for distance running, it could be a lot worse. Zarodnieva then comes down with just over 2 laps to run and gradually whittling them down. They're gradually dropping off the back, although I'm a little concerned for the Russian with just how close together these 5 Africans right behind her are. Rotich on the outside in the blue. There's the rest of the field coming through. Tina Brown and Hattie Dean, who's having a disastrous run here today, a bit of a nightmare for the Bud Baldara coached athlete. 4th in those European Championships. She had a fabulous time in Spain, and frankly, that was her summer with a big tick beside it. Whatever happened after that was of relatively little significance. Now, can Zarodnieva outfox them once again here, as she did in Sweden a week ago? She gradually wound it up in the latter stages there, and try as they might, the best of the Africans, Chemos Chewa, who was second there, and her compatriots couldn't get past her. Kip Kemoy was only 5th in Stockholm. And there, just a little surge from Zarodnieva. She's very, very canny. She's a smart racer. She knows how dangerous these Africans can be in very quick races, or indeed in sprint situations off the final bend. So she tends to wind it up over the last lap and a half, the last couple of laps. And you can see that now, can't you? Just a little bit more drive, a little more push from the arms. And she knows exactly what she's up to here. She's got 4 Africans breathing down her neck. Chemos Chewa on the outside, Asefa at the back of the group, Joroge as well at the back of the group there, and Rotich on the inside in blue. They're queuing up to have a pop at the Russian here. but she won the European Championships. She went to Stockholm when you'd think she would have been tired emotionally and physically, and ran superbly 8 days ago. And here she is, the European champion, the Russian champion this year, down the back straight with just over 200 to run. She's got good flat speed too, as Zaradnyeva. 4:04 for 1500 metres, which is more than anybody else in this field can boast, and she uses that well between the barriers. 150 to run. Still there, each of those four. Chewa in second place in the purple there. Rotic in the blue. Have they learned their lesson from Stockholm? It would seem not, because Zaradnyeva is driving hard for the line now. Can she take this one cleanly? She does. Very good technique from the Russian. And yet again, it would appear as though she's going to get there. Although coming back at it now is Chewa. Oh, and the Kenyan steals it from 10 metres out. Wins it by half a metre. Zaradnyeva didn't look. She could have heeded the roar from the crowd. They would have given her a little bit of warning. But she didn't really have much time to react. And despite doing just about everything perfectly there, all credit to Milka Chemos for a snatching victory at the final metre or two. The time, 9:22. In these conditions, not bad at all.
Not bad, but what about this for a sprint finish? Certainly the Russian European champion gave it her all, didn't she? I'm not sure she had a lot more left, actually. Looking at that picture, she was grimacing, looking. She could sense that the African was coming past, but she could do nothing about it, because that really was quick. You can see from that Chemos Chewa, the Kenyan, has got so much more in the tank, because really she could have done so much.
Well, the conditions for high jumping aren't particularly good at all here today. They don't like a slippery take-off surface, the high jumpers, but it's been continuing over the last hour or so.
Well, this is the high jump. Thomas looking to advance his position in this championship. The Russian high jumpers always doing well of late. So, yes, indeed. 2:27, second time clearance. Donald Thomas. Good clearance too. He really approaches the bar very, very quickly. Just scrapes it as it goes across, but it stays there for you to see. There it is, second place. Ivan Dyukov of Russia didn't win the European title, should have done on form going into it. Very, very fine athlete. Dyukov, Russian indoor record holder, is 2:40 this year indoors. What a clearance that was too. 2:27, but I tell you what, it was a third and final. Big smile. But he's proved himself to be a real competitor, and when you look at that shot, the margin was considerable. It's quite useful having a second look at that. Look at that. Good clearance. And that was the best clearance thus far, wasn't it? Just took 3 attempts though. Well, Shustov then, World Student Games champion, winner of the European Team Championships. A very good run, European champion too. Very, very good approach. He's very quick. He's tall, but he's very, very quick indeed. Won the European title in Barcelona when we expected Dyukov to do just that. And once again, that's a brilliant clearance.
Well, that high jump continues. Confirmation there of the third time clearance for the European champion Shustov at 2:27. Morten Jensen, though, over the long jump on the other side of the arena. Jensen's card. Well, he opened with 7:71. Then a no jump. Still nobody over 8 metres. This the third round effort for the Dane. This opens round 3. Oh, that's better. That's almost 8 metres. Very, very close indeed. Clearly these men jumping with a mix of slight headwinds, some following winds and some efforts. It's gusting in this arena, it has to be said. Conditions are not conducive to good jumping because the very, very useful performers, Dwight Phillips amongst them, and Chris Tomlinson, of course, a medalist in Barcelona, are struggling to get to 8 metres. Jensen there, 7.96 in round 3, and takes the lead. Well, he can go a lot better than that, we know that. Jensen, he's an 8.25 jumper at his absolute best. Here's Tornius. 7.70 and then 7.71. He'll need a better rate of improvement than that if he's to challenge for a place in the top 3. He's lying down in 5th. Well, that looked a lot better too. That looks out towards, 7.70, 7.80 for Tornius. Of course, Christian Olsen winning the triple jump yesterday. It's 17.41 by a comfortable margin, actually, over the likes of Phillips and Dowu, amongst others. That was last night. I don't think with that sort of performance Tornius is going to threaten the lead here, no. 7.85 is an improvement. He's only 4th.
Yukov then, second attempt at 2.29 in this high jump competition, yes! Took him 3 attempts at 2.27 and he gets 2.29 on the second attempt. He's always been a good performer during this season. Only time he let himself down a little was at the European Championships. Once again, gets the lift, doesn't he? He is the world indoor champion, having said what I've said. And really, on the performances during the season, should have won the world title. He's 2.34, his best this season. That could be the winning jump, incidentally. That may take some beating in these conditions.
Well, a chance to catch up on that 3,000 metre steeplechase result now. Chamos winning there in a meeting record of 9.22 over Zaragnieva, the European champion, having to settle for second, but she does split the Kenyans with Rotich in 3rd. Chamos there getting a degree of revenge for her defeat by the Russian 8 days ago in Stockholm. We can now confirm the standings in the steeplechase, and of course Chamos with yet another win, way out in front. 20 points for Milka Chamos over Kip Kemoy, her compatriot, in 3rd place. Zarudnieva with 2 points today in 3rd place with 6.
Well, the next event on the track is a very high-profile 400 metres. Jeremy Warriner will be drawn in the 3rd lane. That's the big fella. That's Jermaine Gonzalez of Jamaica. He should feature here too. There are 3 men under 44.5 or thereabouts in this race. Jeremy Warriner certainly proved himself once again to be the world #1. Faltered a little bit at the beginning of the season. 44.49 his best this year so far. But there is the lineup. Torrance of the United States in 1, Rooney of Great Britain in 2, Warriner USA 3, Chambers Jamaica 4, Gonzalez Jamaica 5, Bingham Great Britain 6, Borlée Belgium 7, and Gillick of Ireland in lane 8. Big crowd. A big performance required here. It's going to be tight for Warriner because Chambers and Gonzalez, well, the 2 lanes outside him are tough. And remember, Bingham is going well, and so is Kevin Borlée, the Belgian, the surprise European champion in Barcelona. He went from 5th to 1st over the last 50 metres. A terrific finish. He's got a twin brother. There's Torrance, world indoor bronze medalist this year. 44.8, his best set this year. Martin Rooney, 44.99 this season. Got a bronze medal in the European Championships. Very tall. Got to the Olympic final, was 6th in that in Beijing. Jeremy Warriner, coached once again by Clyde Hart. Went with Michael Ford for a while. He remains in the team though, does Ford, but Hart has brought him back to somewhere near his best. Ricardo Chambers also in very good form. 44.54 this season. The 2nd in Monaco in the Diamond League race. Very tall Jermaine Gonzalez, the Jamaican record holder, 44.40. Beat the Jamaican record. It stood since, what, 1997. Michael Bingham, silver medal in the relay, silver medal in the individual 400 in the European Championships, 44.88 in those championships. Well, there's Kevin Borley, European champion. Didn't look like it at 300 meters, but by the finish he'd hauled everyone in and taken the title. The whole family international athletes. David Gillick of Ireland, 6th in the World Championship final last year, twice European indoor champion, the Irish record holder in lane 8. Torrance, Rooney, Warriner, Chambers, Gonzalez, Bingham, Borley and Gillick. The men's 400 meters. Sure what happened there.
Well, Chris Tomlinson in round 4, lying in 6th place with 7 meters 80 from round 2. This is a final effort to redeem himself, so to speak. Of course, Chris coming up with the goods in Barcelona, the bronze medalist in those European Championships, the world indoor silver medalist 2 years ago. Huge adjustment there approaching the line. Stuart made a comment a few minutes ago about how rudimentary, how basic his technique is, and he looked pretty awful there too. He's a big lad, 195 tall, makes him 6'5", but look at those tiny little steps before getting to the board. Forward rotation too, wasn't a good leg shoot, and that by Chris's standards, still shy of 8 meters, indeed well shy of 8 meters. That from Tomlinson, 7.92. He does in fact have 2 jumps to go. 3rd place then for the Briton, but surely more to come.
Torrance, Rooney, Warriner, Chambers, Gonzalez, Bingham, Borley and Gillick. The men's 400 meters. It's Gonzalez. It's Bingham in the 6th lane, silver medalist in the Europeans. Well, no problem with the start here. Let's see who goes off. Bingham has gone off very quickly indeed, and so has Ricardo Chambers. Chambers is already up on the Jamaican, his colleague, the Gonzalez, the Jamaican record holder. Bingham going very strongly. Warriner will run an even-paced race, that's for sure. Torrance of the United States coming through past Martin Rooney, who's got a lot of work to do. Bingham still leading. Here comes Ricardo Chambers. Warriner's got some work to do off the final bend. He certainly has. Ricardo Chambers and Warriner coming through, and the big Jamaicans going well. Here comes Warriner and Chambers. Warriner's going to come through and take this. Gonzalez is threatening. Warriner just gets there. Gonzalez 2nd, Chambers in 3rd place, and my goodness me, it all changed all over the place in the final stages of that race. 44.69, it was quick, and Jeremy Warriner at about 280 meters was nowhere in it, but my goodness me, as I said, he was running an even pace race, and that's exactly what he did. His 2nd 200 was very quick indeed, and certainly the last 100, and once again he proves himself that he is the world #1 at the moment. But the 2 Jamaicans must have given him a scare as they approached that final bend.
Well, he used every ounce of experience there, didn't he, Jeremy Warriner? As you said, Stuart, very balanced race from the American. He did have the advantage of seeing what they were up to, the Jamaicans, in lanes 4 and 5. They went out very hard, like scared rabbits almost, in particular Ricardo Chambers there in the yellow top and blue shorts. But Warriner finished very strong. That's the best finish of his season, yes, I think. He's getting better with each race, is Jeremy Warriner. The time is strong too, 44.6 in these conditions. One of the best track performances of the day, although he does only win by a metre from Gonzalez there. 44.80 for Gonzalez.
Yeah, well, Bingham had a very good 300 metres metres, but faded a little bit, as you can see in the distance there. Martin Rooney, the Briton, not much from him today, but certainly Warner going very strongly. Ricardo Chambers suffering a little bit. He had a very fast first 300 metres. Gonzalez a better paced. He is the Jamaican record holder now. Better paced race, but this fella looks relaxed, doesn't he? You're quite right. He was on the inside lane. He could watch Chambers and Gonzalez. He watched them all the way, and my goodness me, he is relaxed, isn't he? There's no tension there at all. You just catch a glimpse of Chambers on the left of your shot, where he's really struggling. But Warner looking across at the clock. The face tells everything. Very relaxed. Well, there it is, the result, confirmation, 44.67, Gonzalez 44.80, and Chambers 45.18, Bingham 45.49 in fourth.
Confirmation of the point situation there. Jeremy Warner with 20 to Gonzalez's 10 in the Diamond League standings. Chambers in third place, but way back. Warner's got it sewn up.
2 metres and 29 then. The bar. Now then. Oh no, it's gone. So the Jesse Williams goes out. The American champion this year, indoors and out, incidentally, this fella. Just a little bit far away from the board, from the bar on takeoff. Drops onto the bar, really, there. High point just in front of the bar. So Jesse Williams has gone. His best clearance, 2:27. Well, Donald Thomas, once again, his final attempt at 2:29. Took 3 attempts at 2:24. 2 attempts at 2:27. Got it on his second attempt. Oh, just clipped it off with his heels as he went through. So Thomas is going to be in third place by virtue of countback. Good lift. Not quite on the day. So Thomas, world champion in 2007. A year after his first high jump competition. How about that? Just raw talent. Sheer raw talent. Well, Shustov, another one trying to make his way beyond this 2:29, and he's gone as well. So the European champion goes out. He's been beaten by Thomas. Williams has had some good clear jumps thus far. Drops onto the bar again. So Jesse Williams will take second place, Thomas third place, Shustov there in fourth place now. Struggled a bit today, the European champion. Well, Dwight Phillips then, this is the fourth round of the long jump. Let's see what he can do here. We're looking for 8-metre jumping. It's not been easy today. He is so... Oh, that's better. That's better. Enjoyed that. Little nod to the crowd. Thank you very much, he says. All of a sudden, the 8-metre performance has come. And that looks to be well over 8 metres. A little bit left on the board there, but he is so quick. He's very fast over 60 metres. The approach he uses is around about 40 metres. 8 metres and 18. Well, that extends his lead, doesn't it? Well, this attempt at 2:35, he's won the high jump, that's for sure. No. No, but he's won the competition. He's won it today and won it well in the end. A man who really was, for me, the favourite for the European title. It didn't quite come off for him. A man who's gone beyond at 2:40. But there is confirmation. Yukov's 2:29, good enough to win, and it was all about failures to decide 2, 3 and 4. They all cleared 2:27. Williams, Thomas taking second and third, with Shustov, the European champion, in fourth place. Well, there you've got it. Yukov, 12 points overall. Thornblad, a 9, the Swede. Jesse Williams, we saw here, with 9 points too. There we are, Silnov and Toro, and the rest.
Well, the next event on the track is the women's 100 metres final, but earlier on, about an hour and a half ago, there were 2 heats of the women's 100 metres. Here in Heat 1, you can see Carmelita Jetta, fourth from right in the purple, coming through very strongly. But in lane 3, a new personal best here for the Nigerian, Blessing Okagbare, to keep Jetta at bay. In third place there, Solomon made it through to the final, former world junior champion at 200 metres as well. But Okagbare, better known as a long jumper, she's a 6:91 long jumper, running 11 flat there, personal best. In the second heat, well, the leading athlete coming through is Marshavet Myers in lane 3. Myers there in the blue, looking very strong indeed. Beside her, Baptiste takes third spot. Simpson in second, the Olympic silver medalist, shared the Olympic silver medal in Beijing, did the Jamaican. Well, and here is the final for the lineup. Aline Bailey, fourth in her heat, got through as the fastest loser. Season's best of 11:19 though in her heat. She goes in 1, the Jamaican. In 2, the Trinidadian Kellyanne Baptiste, 11:11 in her heat. Third in Monaco, a month or so back. She hasn't raced since. Marshavet Myers goes in lane 3 for the USA, 10:99 and to equal her season's best in her heat. One in Lucerne recently, just a few days ago in fact. So Carmelita Jetta, well, world number 1 last year, was unbeaten in 6 races after the World Championships in 2009. She was the bronze medalist, of course, in Berlin. Blessing Okagbare of Nigeria won her heat in that new personal best of 11 flat, the 23-year-old. And she improved to sub 11 seconds here. The wind has certainly eased up at Crystal Palace, but it remains quite a cold afternoon. Sharon Simpson of Jamaica, fourth in Monaco, second in Lucerne. Those are 2 most recent races. Very, very experienced Simpson. 11:02 this year, but she's a 10:8 athlete as her best. Shalonda Solomon, third in her heat in 11:1. She was second in Stockholm over 200 metres, Solomon. Expect her to come on late in the race. A former world junior champion at the long sprint. And then in lane 8, Tahisha Harrigan of the British Virgin Islands. Fifth in the last Commonwealth Games in Melbourne. Was third in Gothenburg last week. There's confirmation of that lineup. Bailey, Baptiste, Myers, Jetta, Okagbare, Simpson, Solomon and Harrigan. So no European making it through to this women's 100 metres final. Lineup from the far side again. Aline Bailey of Jamaica in 1. Kellyanne Baptiste of Trinidad in 2, then Marshavet Myers of the USA in 3. Jetta the favourite perhaps because of her experience in 4, though she was beaten in her heat. Okagbare in 5 for Nigeria, the Jamaican Simpson in 6, Solomon in 7 for the USA, and British Virgin Islands Harrigan in lane 8. Well, I thought there was a twitch there from Myers in lane 3, but they've got away cleanly. Jetta's going well at the moment. Jetta with Harrigan, and coming through now is Okagbare, but Jetta and Harrigan and Myers in lane 3. Myers takes it there. Jetta second, I think, and maybe Okagbare in third. 11:01. Well, Marshavet Myers won it by a tiny margin, and I'll tell you what, she got the best start. If it wasn't a flyer, and clearly it wasn't, otherwise they would have had a recall. She read the gun wonderfully well. 10:99 to equal her season's best in her heat. And Marshavet Myers there downs a very strong field. Carmelita Jetta, she's a 10:82 athlete this year, Jetta. Okagbare, who beat Jetta in the heat. Simpson, the Olympic silver medalist. Goodness me, that's quite some run from the American.
Well, certainly at this stage, Marshavet Myers was going very well indeed. Jetta was trying to get on terms with her from the 4th lane. This is the point at which it just wouldn't happen. Jetta's going to come through to second place with Okagbare in third. But that's a very, very good run indeed by Myers. She absolutely flies. It's a good look from the other side. It's quite interesting to see the race from the other side. You can see Jetta approaching, but doesn't quite make it. But Myers ran that brilliantly. Unexpected in a way.
Well, Myers' time 11.01, sub 11 remains elusive today. Jetta in second place, 11.06. Okagbare in third come the final. Well, just 2 track races left, the men's 110-metre hurdles final, and then the Emsley Car Mile will conclude proceedings on this second day at Crystal Palace.
Yes, the hurdles being placed out on the track. Much awaited performance of David Oliver, of course, the world #1 in the high hurdles this year. And the big crowd will be treated, I would think, to something very close to 13 flat. The long jump still going on. Lapierre in the 5th round. Lapierre, the world indoor champion. Doesn't quite get it, does he? He's another one round about the 8-metre mark. He's got a best of 8 metres 40 this year, the Australian. Former world junior silver medalist back in 2002. Good lift, very simple, basic technique. It's a good one, almost shy of the board. It's a little bit left there. It's just a very basic 1.5 hitch kick. 7 metres and 80, still not as good as that 3rd round jump. 6th place, one would have expected much more, and it may yet come. Shalin, Pavel Shalin. Nice little hang, that's well below 8 metres, isn't it? That's not going to impact on the overall situation at all. Good lift, but didn't quite get it. You could see him looking at the board there. A little bit apprehensive. 7.69, so that's not very good. I mean, 7.89, the 2nd round jump, his best thus far. One more jump to come. Torneas in the background. And there's Dwight Phillips. Phillips has a basic sprint speed far superior to pretty well all the long jumpers. He is a very fine sprinter in his own right. He's had some good performances over 60 metres in particular, and that's the sort of distance he needs to be good, because the long jump approach between 40 and 45 metres. 45 is the very longest I've seen. I'm just wondering whether they're putting those tracksuits on whilst they're raking the pit down at the far end, or the landing area. I'm just wondering whether they're going to take those jumps. Well, Jensen is, that's for sure. Morten Jensen is quick as well, because he holds the Danish record at 100 metres. 8 metres and 21 is best this season. He had 3 no jumps in the qualification stage of the European Championships. It's very disappointing. There's 2 more here, and only 7.96 thus far. So 5th round for him. Not a great series. Really needs to get a good jump in here. Needs some discipline. He really does motor, but that's a red flag. It's well over 8 metres, but really having a look, see how far he was over. No, another no jump for him. Yeah, it's not that bad, was it? It was only just over. Looked worse than that the first time through. But That would have been well over 8 meters. So the next event on the track, the men's 110 meters hurdles, and one of the feature events. There it is, Will Sharman of Great Britain drawn in lane 1. Dwight Thomas, Jamaica in 2. Garfield Darien, France in 3. David Oliver, USA 4. Andy Turner, Great Britain 5. Joel Brown, USA 6. Ryan Wilson, USA 7. And Tyrone Akins of the United States in lane 8. Good field, which features the fastest man in the world this year, David Oliver. 12.89 his best this season. So close to the world record. 10 barriers at 3 feet 6. The crowd alongside the home straight, in for a treat, I would think. I wonder whether even in these conditions we'll get a performance which is sub 13 seconds from David Oliver. Several of them this season thus far. In fact, probably the most ever in succession. In Paris he won with 12.89. In Monaco is just outside with 13.01. 12.90 in Eugene. But let's go through the field. Will Sharman was 4th in the World Championships last year. Disqualified in the semi-final of the European Championships. Tried to get away and didn't get away with it. Dwight Thomas, the Jamaican, 5th in the World Championships in 2005 at 100. Found himself not quick enough, he said, so turned to the hurdles. He's now their record holder. The European silver medalist in Garfield Darien, the Frenchman, 13.34 his best this season. He's got the 3rd lane. David Oliver of the United States, the world number 1, by far the best high hurdler this season. Such a powerhouse. The European champion is next to him, Andy Turner. Won his heat. I just hope that he can live with the pattern, with the tempo established by Oliver. Joel Brown in lane 6. 6th in the world final a few seasons ago, 2005. Now I was surprised at Ryan Wilson. He struggled to get through to this final. He's been running so well this season. Just outside 13 seconds his best time. And Akins, the American, the other American, drawn out in lane 8. Ryan Wilson, incidentally, was 2nd in the American Championships, just making a comment on him, and he may do better here. 2nd in Paris, 2nd in Lausanne. Sharman, Thomas, Darien, Oliver, Turner, Brown, Wilson and Akins. The men's 110 meters hurdles. Couldn't quite hear that announcement. The athletes were asked to stand up there, Tim. I don't know whether you heard that.
No, I didn't, Stuart. I think there's a big crowd there. Maybe a little bit too much noise coming from the spectators. They're very, very close to the stands there. They're down the straights at Crystal Palace, funnily enough, because of the shape of the stadium. The athletes are a long way from the front row of spectators, but right there in the blocks for the 110 hurdles, they're within touching distance of the front row.
Well, let me remind you of the lineup for this 110 meter hurdles final. Sharman, Great Britain. Thomas, Jamaica. Darien, France. Oliver, USA. Turner, Great Britain. Brown, USA. Wilson, USA. Akins, USA.
On your marks.
The stadium is silent in anticipation. Certainly Brown got away well. Here goes Oliver in the middle of the field. He's away from this field already, going very strongly. Look at the way in which this man is powering away from this field. And David Oliver is through, and the 13.06 into a slight headwind. My goodness me, that was a real demonstration of power high hurdling by David Oliver. My goodness me. Joel Browner, the American in the 6th lane, I reckon got the best start, but my goodness me, his reaction to the hurdles was absolutely superb. It looked very, very strong. He had great dexterity. He was wonderfully smooth this time, and the quickness with which he gets off the ground, clearing the hurdle, gets down quickly for the next hurdle is quite remarkable. This is a fella that's going to take a lot of beating this season. Andy Turner found that pretty tough. We'll catch up with his performance as far as British viewers are concerned, but my goodness me, this was a very, very good race by Oliver. It was a demonstration in the end.
Well, it was. Andy Turner, I thought, started quite well, fourth from left. He ended up in last place, didn't have a good run, couldn't get into a rhythm. But Oliver, by contrast, very, very quick. Just managed to squeeze in those strides. He's a big fella, don't let's forget. 6'3". Wind's going away. Dips there into a headwind at 13.06, equals the meeting record. That's the measure of the performance there. Really very strong performance from this former American footballer. But he hits the barriers, they suffer. He doesn't. But look how quickly that trail leg snaps through and crashes down on the track to drive on to the next barrier. Very, very impressive indeed.
Yeah, Dwight Thomas got second over on the far side, and Garfield Darrion, the European silver medalist, got third place there. But this is the fella that is, well, it's sheer power. There's such rhythm to it. He established the rhythm of the race. He got to the first hurdle, deep in concentration, his eyes on his hurdles, on his lane, and of course he's having to chop coming into the next hurdle. That's a good sign. The fact that he's clipping the hurdles means he's going so very, very quickly here. Clip them, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You're not losing a lot from that, and as Tim was saying, that trail leg so quick, and that's what brings the lead leg down too. Oliver, brilliant. Well, there's the confirmation. Equals the meeting record of 13.06. Dwight Thomas 13.32. Garfield Darrion 13.34. Equals his personal best. Sharman 13.39. The other Briton, the season's best in 4th. Well, there you've got the first three. Another poor run by Ryan Wilson there, but there are the points. Oliver, 20 points. Well, the event is his, really. Ryan Wilson on 6, despite his performance here. Thomas with 5. Robles, who's been injured, the world record holder, in 6th.
Well, we can wrap up the long jump now. This is Pavel Shalin, the 6th and final round, facing the Russian. 7.89 his best. That was in round 2, putting him in 4th place. Shalin, well, failed to qualify for the final of the European Championships, remember. Winner of the European Team Championships earlier on in the summer. Bit of a disaster in Barcelona for the 23-year-old Russian. And that down below 8 meters yet again for Shalin. What a disappointing series. He's registered a mark in each and every round, but they're all in the 760s, 770s, that sort of range. And that one very similar. It's 780, in fact, in the 6th round for Shalin. No improvement on his 789 from round 2. And for him, indeed, for everybody, bar Dwight Phillips, 8 meters just out of reach today. Finishes in 4th, though, with that series. Chris Tomlinson, well, 792 in round 4, his best so far. Again, a little bit disappointing, although of course he doesn't look quite as flat as Phillips Idowu yesterday, who just couldn't get anywhere near 17 meters in the triple jump. He looked really out of sorts to the European and world champion. But so Chris Tomlinson, as you said, Stuart, with probably the most raw of all world-class jumpers, his technique. I would imagine a lot of coaches would want to get hold of him and start all over again.
I think you're right. Let's see what he can do then in this last round. That was looked a little better on the board. He knows it's so close, he knows it is, but he can't quite get the result that he wants, which is a shame, really. But Chris Tomlinson looking for 8 metre plus, and he knows that he could have taken some scalps here today. 7 metres and 92. A backwind of 0.7 metres per second for those of you statistically minded. He knows that that was a real opportunity. 7.92 his best. That was 7.62 that last one. I was referring to his best jump. 7.92. So Chris Tomlinson, 3rd place.
Well, the final event of the track programme here at Crystal Palace is, of course, the Emsley Car Mile. The classic distance. First sub-4 minute mile back in 1954. Big field here today, some 15 athletes. This race established way back in 1953 to encourage the achieving of the first 4 minute mile. Well, it happened the very next year. It is a big lineup, as I said. Look out for Augustin Choge, who's been in great form, the Commonwealth champion 4 years ago at 5,000 metres, but he's now a 3:29 man at 1,500 metres. Lopez Lomong of the USA, Euro-American champion. Tom Lancashire, 10th in the European Championships for Great Britain, has had a good season. Gathimba, only 7th for you in the Kenyan Championships, but one to respect nonetheless. Gebra Medin, 4th in the world indoors, not raced for a month for the Ethiopian. Manzano, Lionel Manzano, 2nd in the US Championships, ran a personal best in Stockholm last week at 800 metres. Kiplagat, the fastest debut ever perhaps from him today. Let's wait and see. He had a fabulous run in Monaco to win in 3:29, the fastest time in the world over 1,500 for 4 years. There's Andy Baddeley. Disappointing run from him, the Europeans. He was 6th in Barcelona, the same as 4 years ago in Gothenburg. Lalu, well, national record holder from Morocco at 800 metres. He's a real star at 800, 1:43 man, but he ran 3:29 in Monaco a month ago. Cheboy and Choge, the 2 Kenyans, I've already mentioned Choge. Biwott, Yusuf Biwott, he too due for a big personal best. He's only run 3:58, but he's a 3:34 man at 1,500 metres. And Dave Krummenacher, beside the Australian there, Ryan Gregson, will be the pacemaker. We're looking for 1:52, 1:53 at 800 metres. Ron Gregson, by the way, 2nd to left there, set an Australian record in Monaco at the age of 20, 3:31.06 there. So watch Gregson, probably the smallest man in the field. Well, away they go, 15 men. Previous winners of this title, it reads like a who's who of mining. Jim Ryan, Kip Kano, Sebastian Coe, Dave Moorcroft, Steve Ovett, Philbert Bailly. Ian Stewart, the meeting promoter, won this race back in 1970. Haile Gebrselassie has won this race. Saida Wheater has won this race. It really is a fabulous list of the great stars of years gone by. One name absent from that list, incidentally. One Steve Cram, somewhat surprisingly. Bernard Lagat winning this race last year, and a good winner of the 3,000 metres last night, Lagat. He likes London. But Krummenacher then out on his way. Needs to be lapping here in around 55.5 seconds. Very experienced Krummenacher. Has done a good job on several occasions already this season. In 2nd place, Cheboy, Choge 3rd, Biwott 4th, Mustawi 5th, and then Gathimba in 6th. The rest of the field sitting some way back at the moment. 58.29 at 400 metres. Now that's slow. It's badly slow, actually. It's quite some way out of what was required. I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but at 400 metres, not even 440 yards, Krummenacher had taken them through quite a lot too slowly, Stu.
Yes, he has, but I think that we're seeing once again, despite the pacemaking, we're seeing some true run races in this Diamond League event here, and that's good. That's good for the sport. It's good for spectators too, because they like to see people employing the tactics of running, particularly at middle and long distance racing. But certainly they're beginning to stretch out. There was a subtle increase in pace from those following the pacemaker there, and so the race, I think, is just about to get underway.
Well, Krummenacher, I think, realised his poor work over the first lap and accelerated, and that's why there's a big gap behind these men now. In 200 or 300 metres, he really has shifted on. They've gone through there in 1:55.6. Look at that lap, 57.31. It's Cheboy from Choge in 1st and 2nd, Mustawi in 3rd, Biwott 4th. Lomong back in about 6th at the moment. They have gone through pretty quickly there at 880 yards. looking at 155.6. It's not particularly quick, but it's quick enough to get a sub 350. That would be nice. Moving down the outside there is Lalu. Andy Badley with quite a bit of work to do at the moment, back in about 10th place. Lomong moving up past him, but they're 10 or 15 metres off the pace with less than 600 to go. They're giving away a lot of ground. And we're going to have a quick final lap here because the pace hasn't been special through the first 2.5 laps. It's still Cheboy from Choge. Mustawi third, Gebramedin fourth, Lomong fifth. Lancashire in sixth. They come towards the bell. And there it is, 2:55 thereabouts at 1,200 metres. 58.3 that third lap. Again, it wasn't quick enough, that has to be said. Cheboy, the second pacemaker, didn't really push it on as he should have done. We do have virtually single file now going into the back straight with 300 metres to run in this 58th edition of the Emsley Car Mile. The world record 3:43, forget about that. Fastest time in the world this year, 3:49 by Kiprop in Oslo back in early June. 200 metres to run, and Choge, remember, he has a 5,000 metre runner's strength. Gebramedin in second place, moving up onto his shoulder. Lalo in third spot. He's got the 800 metre runner's speed. He should be able to get past these two, but he's struggling at the moment, and the gaps are surprisingly big for a relatively slow run race. Choge under pressure from Gebramedin. Lalo in third is going backwards. Manzano coming through strongly, finishing like a train, but Choge hangs on there to take it by a metre. Gebramedin second. Manzano third there, the winning time 3:50.14. Well, considering the pacemaking went a little awry, we had a 58, a 57 and a 58 for those first 3 laps. That's not a bad winning time. Sub 350, just staying elusive today. But it was, as Stuart said, more of a true run race. Although I was a little surprised quite so many men hung further back and were nowhere near the front with 400 or say 300 to go. Never gave themselves a chance.
Well, no, Choge, of course, the Commonwealth 5,000 metre champion, has got strength endurance, he's got speed endurance, he's been running well over 1,500 metres this season too. And here he holds off Gebramedin, the Ethiopian. He's only 21, Gebramedin. He's certainly got a big future ahead of him. His best 3:49.33, so he's in that sort of territory here. But Choge is proving to be a very difficult man to beat. It really is. Over the distances, one in Shanghai over 15, he beat Kiprop in that race, and that was a very good performance indeed. It was a little not quite so good in Oslo in the 800, but then he was balked on that occasion. He won in Rome over 15, he was second in Gateshead, so he's been there during the season and he's been working very, very well. And Choge signs the book, that famous book that you mentioned, all those wonderful names, and there is a trophy which he will treasure, I'm sure.
Well, the mile is completed, the track action completed. The final stage of the long jump to come just yet. But ironically, the sun just breaking out here at Crystal Palace with the track performances over.
Well, Jensen then, the 6th and final round for the Dane. He's capable of so much more than he showed before. Oh, and that looks a little better. I just wonder, it's right on the 8 metre mark. His best 7:96. I just wonder. It's difficult to tell that. It's not quite on the 8 metre mark. His best 7:96. I'm not. We'll see whether that was better. It probably wasn't. But we'll see. Let's have a look. No. 7:96. He's in second place. Well, Dwight Phillips then, past the 5th round, is now going for the 6th and final. He's won the competition already. He's got 8 metres and 18, and that, I think, is a no jump. And he says thank you very much, but he's a class act, very seldom loses when it matters. He's got a good championship record. I mean, the Olympic champion, he's won the world title 3 times, and really, that is he's found it tough, as they've all found it tough. So Dwight Phillips then, 8 metres and 18, wins the long jump. He gets 16 Diamond League points overall, incidentally. And Morten Jensen second with that 7.96, and Chris Tomlinson third with 7.92. So it was a close competition in the end, well, with one exception, that 8:18 jump by this fella, Dwight Phillips. No jump on the last round, but he wins it comfortably in the end. Well, there it is, 8:18, Jensen 7:96, Tomlinson 7:92. Charlene showed promise, but didn't quite come through in the end at 7:89.
Well, even more difficult conditions today, making it very difficult. Stuart, Dwight Phillips way out in front again in that one. 16 points to the American Fabrice Lapierre. Australia on 11 points. Saladino down on 7. Well, the weather gods haven't been kind to South London. It's been more difficult today than last night, but there were some standout performances. Jeremy Warriner, 44.67 in the 400. Torkilton, 87.38 to win that javelin. And of course, that MZ Carmile, 350 just now from Augustin Choguet. The Diamond League continues. 2 events to come in Zurich and Brussels over the next fortnight. Those both finals, and double points awarded in those meetings. 8 points for winners, 4 points for second, 2 points for third in Zurich. That's on Thursday next week, just a few days away.